Hello everyone, Josh Verts back again to bring you guys some more Shining Beyond, and today I'm going to be showing all of you how to go about making a 7-star hero efficiently and free to play. Now granted, of course, I've spent a little bit of money in the game, as a lot of you know, but there are very good options in this game for how to obtain things free to play, and kind of routes to take to kind of get there in a more efficient manner. So today I'm going to be going over a few ways that you can go about getting a 7-star hero that maybe you didn't even know existed, or maybe you overlooked. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to need to know is if you go to your heroes, and the hero that I'm going to be making 7-star actually later today after reset here in a few hours is going to be my Athena. My Athena is going to be 7-star probably today. So you need 500 shards to get between 6-star and 7-star. But 7-star, there is something that you will need to have extra beyond just having the shards and having a level requirement that you might be used to between 1 and 6-star. So if you go to promotion, you're going to notice here that you're going to need something called a class orb, a 7-star class orb. You will need 100 of them to achieve 7-star. Now, the easiest way to obtain those right now is to use Valianites. Now, I made a video a few days back showing you guys how to get, how to best use your Valianites that you get from summoning. Now, a lot of you know at this point, if you summon on the featured banners, the featured banners, you will get, basically 10 Valianites per multi, right? It's that simple. So if you do 90 summons, you can buy 3 packs of the relic selectors. If you do 120 summons, you can buy all 4 for the month if you don't reset. So a lot of you already saw that video and you understand how to get the relics. But what I did not go over was other ways that you can obtain Valianites that you can use for other things in that shop, like the class orbs. So let's go ahead and briefly go over that real quick before we go any further. So if you go to adventure, and let's just say, as you can see right now, I'm in chapter 8 of heroic. But let's go back to normal, where a lot of you probably still are for the most part, especially if you're free to play. So let's go all the way back to chapter 1. So you're going to notice here that there's a few things that you can do in story outside of just 3-star clearing the stages. There are things called grand trials. And if you go to 1-5, 2-5, 3-5, basically any -5, you'll notice there's an option to play multiplayer, which will be co-op on that stage. This is a nice way to give yourself 5 free runs a day, free to play without using stamina, because instead you can use your co-op stamina. You get 5 co-op stamina per day. And if you don't bring no one else in, you can do the stage yourself, even though you have it set to co-op, and not waste your other stamina. So it's a nice way to kind of save a little bit of normal stamina per day, especially if you're going back through to do your grand trials on previous chapters that you've already completed. And on the -10s, you'll notice there's also a grand trial. So every -5, every -10 will have a grand trial to complete. And the grand trial rewards get better with the difficulty of the actual story mode. So for example, normal will have less rewards to obtain than, of course, heroic, legendary, and master. It'll just keep going up and up and up. So the amount of Valianites you can get from all 32 chapters of story will greatly increase depending on the actual difficulty. But of course, the difficulty will also increase, making it a little bit harder to do some of those grand trials later on. So you definitely want to take advantage of the ones in normal mode, to get quite a bit, so you can utilize those in getting your job class orbs, which will show you how much those cost in a shop momentarily. So if we go in here, you'll see, for example, on 1-5, you have grand trials. Increase enemies attack by 20%. Enemies take 30% less damage from normal attacks. Enemies skill cast cannot be interrupted. So you would just check that. It'll tell you what you get. You're going to get 45 gems and 2 Valianite for completing that. But like I said, you can do the -5s on co-op. So since we've already beat all of chapter 1, let's go ahead and go to chapter 2. I think I cleared those as well. So let's go move on to chapter 3. There we go. So for example, on 3-5, increase enemies attack by 20%, and then of course enemies take 30%. So it's kind of the same as the other ones were. They're not always going to be the same, especially on -10. They're going to be different than -5, and they're going to be a little bit harder. And when you go to like heroic, for example, you have to start doing 2 grand trials at the -10. So it gets a little bit more convoluted. So if we go here, you're going to see that the normal 2-star trial chest, the normal, just clear it, is going to give you 20 gems. But if we actually do the grand trial, I'm going to get 45 gems yet again and 2 times Valley Knight. So we're going to go ahead and go to co-op. Just wait for this to slide on over. Co-op, for whatever reason, does lag out a bit, especially if you're on an emulator. Hopefully we don't crash. If we crash, we'll just have to start it back up. It looks like we're going to probably crash. No, we didn't crash. Okay, good. Like I said, sometimes you will crash. So then we're going to go ahead and check mark. And you're going to notice right here, we are now using co-op stamina, which you can see right here at the top. It's going to recharge in 2 hours and 12 minutes from now, which would be, of course, daily reset. So you get, again, you get 5 per day. So you can go back and do this 5 times for 5 different chapters every day until you're done with all the -5s. So it's a really nice convenience to have. So let's go ahead and do it. We have our grand trial checked. Our grand trial. I said grandchild. Grand trials checked. So all we got to do is beat this. Now you do not have to worry about 3-star clearing again or anything like that. You just have to win, and that's it. You just have to beat the boss, and then you'll get it completed. So it's very simple. But it offers more gems, it offers more Valley Knights, which you're going to need going forward. And I think since it's only on Chapter 3, we should be fine. It looks like we froze again. Great. You got to love when this happens, guys. So I don't want to have to make any hard edits, so we're just going to kind of talk our way through it here. So let's go back into Shining Beyond. And while we're waiting for that to load back up, I want you guys to take the time and let me know who your first 7-star hero will be in the comment section below. I'd love to know. Mine again will probably be Athena. I will be working on other units as well, and we're going to be talking also later in this video about some of the SRs that you can actually work on as well that are also very, very good, and maybe in some regards a bit underrated by the large populace of the player base. So we're going to be going over that in this video too, so definitely stick around if you're wondering if there's any SRs worth going to 7-star as well, because of course their shards are going to be easier to obtain. Alright, so let's try to do this again. Hopefully we don't crash out a second time, because that would be a bit upsetting. Hopefully they do fix the crashes. Obviously I'm on an emulator. This game is not native to emulators. Some games just do not work well with emulators consistently, so I can't really fault them for that, but we'll just have to kind of get through it. So let's go back to 3.5. Let's go to co-op. Hopefully we don't crash this time. That would be great. Oh boy. Alright, so let's go back in. Please don't crash, game. That would be great. Please, 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 so we can get through this video. But yeah, let me know what you guys are going to go ahead and 7-star first, because I think there's a lot of good viable options rather. You have your Artemises, you have your Shizus, you have your Canes, you have your Lucille's, you have your Athenas. You have all these other different units that you can go ahead and work on that I feel are very well worth it being your first 7-star and investing that high into, that are going to carry you pretty long term in the game. So again, just let me know what your first 7-star is going to be. I'll be glad to read as many of those comments as I can, and maybe we'll even see some surprises. Maybe there'll be some 7-star characters that a lot of people aren't utilizing, but maybe you just consider them a favorite unit of yours, or a unit that just works really well on your team that a lot of people aren't using. So, we'll see. That'd be pretty cool. But alright, so you guys can see I just beat 3.5 on co-op with Grand Trial achieved. So we should get our 45 gems and our 2 Valley Knight. Alright. And there we go. We got the chest. You guys can see. Easy peasy. 2 Valley Knights, 45 more gems. Right into the bank. Why not? So, again, you can do that with co-op. I don't think a lot of you knew that you could actually do co-op by yourself and save yourself 5 runs per day of -5s without having to use your normal stamina, which is really, really cool. So that's a good way to kind of utilize the co-op system solo. I know it's weird to say that, but it is what it is. So now that you know that there's other ways to grab Valley Knights outside of just summoning, there is other ways to get Valley Knights as well, but this is a very efficient way to do it for the moment. We'll go over other ways in the future for other different types of content that can benefit you in other ways in the game, but we're trying to stay kind of honed in on how to get to those 7-star characters. So that's going to be a great way to pick up some extra Valiantite on top of summoning. So now when you go to the shop, and we go down to Valiantites, we've already talked about how important job relics are early game, but later on in the game, when you get to like that mid to end game, and you got your core 4 or 5 team, 4 or 5 unit team, and their jobs are pretty well built up to like maybe 10, 11, 12 out of 12 for some of you crazy savages out there. Now you're gonna have to start focusing more on your class orb selectors, so you can get to those 7-star plus to further increase your character's usability and sustainability going forward into those harder to beat stages of story when you get to like mid heroic into legendary, and then of course way down the road in master. So these are going to cost you 30 Valiantite a pop. You get 10 of them per reset, or 10 per month if you don't choose to reset the shop, and you get 50, and you got warrior, archer, acolyte, and rogue. Of course, obviously there's only 4 main classes in the game. So for me, for example, I'd be picking up more warrior class orbs, so I can get that to 100, so I can 7-star my Athena. If you're working on another character like Artemis, you might go for the archer. If you're working on like your Lucille's or your Theas, you're gonna be going for your acolytes, etc., etc. So that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be utilizing that method and that strategy to now try to pick up your class orbs to take some of your most invested in characters to 7-star. Obviously, you're going to need 500 shards from 6 to 7. So a lot of people out there that are free to play, maybe your first 7-star may not be an SSR. So what SR characters perhaps are very viable options? We're going to go over 2 today. So 2 of them that come to mind right off the bat, and one of them I'm slowly working on in the background, but the other one is Mikado. Why is Mikado so good? Because she's a ranged rogue. I believe she might be the only ranged rogue in the game, at least at SR status or higher. So why is that important? She allows you to attack from far away with not having one of the biggest weaknesses rogue class characters have, and that is having to get right up in the middle of the front line and get hit a lot, being squishy, which rogues generally are. Now, Shizu is an exception because of the way her dodge mechanic works, but a lot of rogue characters struggle when they have to be put right into the thick of things because they're going to be getting hit a lot, and Athena can only do so much to protect you because her taunt is only going to be around 50% chance. It's not always going to taunt. So if you're not taunting early, your rogues are going to get hit very hard, very often, and then eventually die. Even if you have a solid healer like Lucille, she's not always going to be there to be able to protect your rogues. Your rogues are going to be a liability going forward. So unless you're a special case like Shizu, or if you're ranged like Mikado, rogues may not be all that great, at least right now, going forward into story. So Mikado is a very special case, especially being an SR. It should be easier to obtain her shards. And she's definitely a prime example of a good option as an SR to make a 7-star because of the fact that she is a ranged rogue, which is very interesting. And then my other option, as you can see here, I've been working on slowly, is Zac. What is so good about Zac? Zac is basically a perfect, and I mean perfect, replacement for Kayn. I talked to one of our fellow members of our Discord, and he's in a lot of different Discords. His name is Ike. We went over this a little bit yesterday and this morning, and Zac is just a really solid option. He's a really good substitute for Kayn. And Kayn is a valiant hero. He's a boss killer. He is the boss killer in the game. But if you're looking for a perfect substitute, look no further than Zac. Zac is amazing. That 4.4 rating, that's bullshit. I'm trying not to cuss as much here on these videos, but let's be honest, that 4.4, that rating is bullshit. People are rating him based on the way he looks and not how useful he really is. And it's a little bit frustrating to see a 4.4 there because people are probably rating him on his look and not usability. I hate that in gacha games. That's why I always say ignore that rating crap in games because it's bullshit. It's bogus, okay? This guy is fantastic. We're going to go over a little bit of his skills really quickly. For why I think that he's a good target to make a 7-star. So first we're going to go over his ultimate. His ultimate, Cygnus Bolt, knocks targets away from the caster, which is very, very good. He is also an archer, so he's going to be able to survive a lot longer and know it's harder to beat stages of story and other content, because he'll be hitting from afar. He'll be kind of back there with your healers or your other Acolyte characters that you're utilizing, or other Rangers if you're running more than one. So that's going to be good. And he's an SR, so it's going to be easy to build. And so two positives right there. Now, he also has direct damage, deals damage equal to 345% of heroes' attack. Now, keep in mind, that is not single target damage. That is circle damage for 345%. That is a lot of damage. That's usually what most characters are doing as single target damage. But this is not single target. So that is a very powerful skill to have, indeed. Like, that is very good. That he's doing a lot of explosive damage right there for an SR. 345%, not single target. Crazy. And he's also reducing movement speed by 50%, so he's slowing the enemy down, which can be very helpful, especially for your Rangers and your Acolytes that are far into the distance, and might even allow the enemies to slow down enough to give your Athena more time to keep restacking that taunt, reapplying that taunt, reapplying that defensiveness, that repel, all that other good stuff that makes Athena, arguably the best character in the game. And then he also has poison. So we're going to go ahead and look at the poison real quick. He deals damage equal to 200% of heroes' attack over time with the poison, single target, which would be very good for bosses, and silence target, which is again also good for bosses. So this guy, like I said, I keep saying Zane, Kane is the boss killer, but if you want to look for the closest thing to him as a good replacement, Zac. Zac is the way to go. Amazing. His weapon skill also gives him attack up, which is fantastic, because for 35 mana, you can go up to 55% attack up, and that duration is for a staggering 20.4 seconds. You know what that means, guys? If you stack up your mana long enough for, like, when you get to the boss, you can go ahead and pop his weapon skill and then pop his Cygnus Bolt. In that order. You go skill 2 and then ultimate. Ridiculous. The damage potential on Zac is so underrated and so disregarded, it's ridiculous. Now, there's other skills and stuff we can go over, and especially depending on what job class you're going to go over, but I don't want to make this video too much about Zac. We might do a Zac showcase later on when I do start working more on him, but he's kind of like, I'm working on him on the side right now. He might actually be built up so much that he might actually overtake one of my core 4 units. Even perhaps maybe Artemis. I don't know yet. It's going to really depend. But there you guys go. I mean, you guys wanted to, I wanted to make this video free-to-play friendly as possible. That's why I went over some SR options, because I know everyone out there just can't be, making 7-star SSR. Some of you may not have that kind of luck. Maybe the Forge isn't something that you can utilize every single day. You are going to be a bit limited, obviously, going forward. So you have to be a little bit careful with your resources and be efficient. So hopefully I gave you guys a viable enough option with those couple SRs. For Zac or Mikado to make 7-star if need be. For those of you that are making an SSR 7-star, again, let me know what you think, which one you're going to be utilizing first in the comment section below. It'd be great to read some of your guys' suggestions, and hopefully this video was helpful. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that there was ways to get Valianites from story. I wanted to show you guys the little trick with co-op to save you guys some stamina every day and to go back and do some of those grand trials. I wanted to show you guys the cost and how much you need to expect to, build up a unit to get them the 7 stars. I just wanted to make sure all that information was out there so you guys were best suited. Now, there are one more good, efficient way to get those orbs early on as well. I'll show that really quick. I almost forgot, but I'll show you guys real quick before we get out of here. So if you actually go to Adventure and go to Tower, you actually have, at level 35, you unlock a tower called Spire of Trials. Spire of Trials actually kind of encourages you to build up 16 units to eventually climb all 4 towers. But that's something way down the road. For now, you're probably going to get to maybe floor 1 through 4, 1 through 5, perhaps, in the first few weeks of the game per area. The Acolyte one is going to be the hardest one to climb early on because, you're you're going to be lacking a lot of DPS outside of like Thea. Thea's ult perhaps would be very good for you. But if you're like me and you're building up Lucille for the most part as your main Acolyte, or even like Nico, you might be lacking some damage to get through those floors. But thankfully you can cheese these floors using items from the shop, and we're going to go over that in another video down the road on how to cheese towers. It's very fun, it's very easy, yeah, so we'll show you guys those later on. But the important thing here is you pick these bad boys up, these tower currencies. You get these from both towers actually, but the other thing to note is in the future you'll be able to start climbing the tower enough to grab class orbs from all 4 of these towers. You actually get quite a bit, but that's going to be something that might take you a few weeks to maybe a month or 2 to start getting into. But it's still good to do these towers because you still get the tower currency. And if we go back over here to the Savior's Tower, as I call it, just, you know, simple name, if you get through the first 20 floors and then start getting to heroic, you're going to notice you're going to start getting a lot more tower currency. I mean, you're getting 400 plus per floor now. Of course, it'll get higher when you get to floor tower 50 and then all the way up to 80, of course, down the line. But if you go to the shop, if you go to the actual shop in the tower, you actually notice there's actually small class orb selectors and small class orb chests available for 3,000 and 4,000 of the tower currency. Now, I highly recommend, at least early on, not to use 3,000, just to save up one more 1,000 to pick up the selector. Because remember, you're trying to get one character right now to 7-star. And to do that, you're going to need their orbs. You don't want to take a 25% gamble for just 1,000 less currency. Because let's say you need warrior class orbs, you might pick up an Acolyte, a rogue, or an archer. You know, that's a 75% chance you're going to get the wrong ones. And that's 3,000 currency down the drain. You might as well just pick up the 4,000 ones, you know, and get those done first before you start trying to gamble. Or maybe just not even gamble at all and just wait it out until those are refreshed and then do that again. So there you guys go. Those are some ways to get the resources required to make a 7-star hero. We went over a couple SR options for you super free to plays out there, and I showed you guys the trick to utilize your co-op on your dash 5s 5 times a day. So hopefully with all that information, you guys are good to go, and you're going to make your first 7-star free to play, hopefully within the next few days if you've been playing since day 1. And for some of you, you might be making one today. Who knows? I look forward to all your guys' responses. Don't forget to subscribe, check notifications, and join us in the Discord in the description below. Until next time, as always, until then, peace.